Hello, I'm Brenda. This is Write Your Story, and in this video, we're going to look at the proper formatting for your memoir manuscript. Now, whether you're submitting this manuscript to an editor, a development editor, or a beta reader, it's best that it be in the proper format. If you're submitting it to a publisher, a lot of this formatting will also apply. However, some publishers will have their own formatting requirements. So do check what the formatting requirements are so that you can make sure you do it correctly. So let's look at the basic formatting for your memoir manuscript. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a piece that I wrote for an assignment that's unformatted. And we're going to walk through this piece and I'm going to show you how to format it. Here is the piece. It's a character description that I wrote, and I named it Bex after the character that I was required to describe. So let's start with the most basic, the margins. Your margins need to be 1 inch by 1 inch all the way around. And if you work in centimeters, that's 2.54 centimeters for each margin. So if we go up to layout, there you go. And we go to margins. Very often you may find that it's already set up. And so in my instance, I have set up with a normal margin of 2.54 centimeters all the way around the manuscript. So once you do that, you can see immediately you now have much wider margins around. If, for example, you don't have that set up, then you go down to custom margins and you just make sure you enter the proper margins for top, bottom, left, and right, 2.54 centimeters or 1 inch. Once you've selected your margins, do go to paper and make sure that your paper size is letter. If you're in Canada or the USA, elsewhere in the world, it may be A4. So one or the other, letter or A4. The next one we're going to look at then is with regard to our font. If I highlight my document, the font I have used is Calibri Body 11. That's one I really like. However, the required format is Times New Roman, and the font size is 12. So now our piece has been changed to the proper font and to the proper font size. The next requirement will be the double space. So we again highlight our text and we now go right-click to paragraph and we choose the line spacing. And our line spacing needs to be double. Once we've done double, voila, there now we start to have a very professional looking manuscript. Something else we need to do at this stage is we need to deal with the paragraphs. You can see I have my paragraphs the way I would have typed them up, but that's not what we're wanting with regard to our manuscript. We want to remove these paragraph lines, but before we do that, we want to come down to the next paragraph. We want to indent it, and we then want to remove that line. And so we start to have it look this way. And we go down and we do that for all the paragraphs. Now, the thing to keep in mind is the opening paragraph is not indented. The opening paragraph you leave against the margin, but you indent all the other paragraphs as well as the dialogue. So I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to indent the paragraphs. I'm going to indent the dialogue. And that now makes my manuscript professional and meets the requirements of what is required for a professionally formatted manuscript. Right, so let's finish that. Great, so now I have that formatted. The next thing we want to do is to take the title, which we want in caps. So if you have chapter 1 and then a title underneath it, you would then have it in caps. I'm just writing one piece, so I don't have it in chapter 1, but I do want my title, which is in caps, but I want it to be in the middle. The other thing I want with regard to my title is that I want my title to be about 1/3 of the way down the page. So you start every chapter or every piece of writing that you're submitting with the title 1/3 down the page. Now we have one more thing to do in order to make sure that our piece is finished. And that is when you've finished your writing, whatever it is that you're writing, you write the end, so that the person reviewing your work knows that this is the end, that there are no pages missing or something has gone awry. So at the end, whether you're writing like I did, a character description, just a small piece, I'm going to write the end at the end of it. You're going to do the same thing when you finish writing all your chapters of your manuscript. And if you're submitting just a portion of your manuscript to a reviewer, write the end there as well, so that the reviewer knows this is the end. It just removes any confusion. So those are the 6 basic formatting options for your manuscript: the size of the margins, the font and the size Times New Roman 12, double spacing, make sure paragraphs are indented, as well as dialogue, except for the opening paragraph of each new piece. Make sure that your chapter is in caps and centered, as well as 1/3 down the page, and do write the end at the end of your manuscript. Now let's look at some other formatting options that you may be required to have. One of the things you're going to possibly need are your contact details. Now, if, like me, you're submitting a small piece to a reviewer or part of a course, your contact details will go just like this on the top of your page, and your assignment will go beneath it. And your contact details are your name, your address, phone number, and email. Top left corner. On the right, you would put assignment number if that's required, the instructor's name or the reviewer's name, the date, and the number of words that your piece happens to be. That is going to be your basic format. However, if you're not submitting this as part of an assignment for a course, you would obviously lose the top 3 on the top right: assignment, instructor name, and the date. But still always put the number of words in as part of your document. If, however, you're submitting your manuscript, let's look at what a title page will look like for your manuscript. This is what your title page would look like for your manuscript. Again, it has a lot that's similar to what we've just looked at for a submission of a small piece. In the top left, you have your name, address, phone number, and email address. Top right, the word count. Again, the title of the story is in the middle in caps, and then by the author's name, your name. And then at the bottom, you would put your genre. It's a memoir. If you know that it's a particular type of memoir, then you can say a coming-of-age memoir, a grief memoir, a spiritual transformation memoir, an adventure memoir, something like that, or just simply a memoir. So that then would be your title page. And that's it. Pretty simple with regard to your contact details. 2 more things to discuss. If we go back to the formatted assignment and we go down to page 2, you'll see at the top of page 2 in the header is your last name, followed by the name of your piece or the name of your memoir, followed by the page number. We move down to page 3, we have the same thing. That is a very stylized formatting that is often required as well. So it won't hurt if you're wanting to really have a professional manuscript that you want to submit, to make sure you put in those details too. They can be on the left-hand side of the page or on the right-hand side of the page. There may be a requirement that it be one or the other. I was required to have it on the left side. You may be required to have it on the right. Now, the last piece of advice with regard to formatting your manuscript is the file name. Before submitting it, change the file name so that it consists of your last name, underscore, the name of your article or the name of your memoir, underscore, the date. And then you are set to go. I trust that this has been helpful to you. I've done this video actually to help the people for whom I review their memoirs. So if this is something you're interested in, do reach out to me. I do have links below and we can discuss how we can go about doing that. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video as we look at how to write our memoirs. I'll see you in that video.